Lindsay Turner was like any Canadian, or so you thought. However, she was a bit of a party animal. One day, while partying too hard, she destroyed a mailbox in Cambie, goofing around. This act was usually punishable by 5 years in prison, but the Canadian government under Prime Minister Peterson had a new policy. Offenders received a clone of themselves, but the clone started at a child's mental level. You must raise the clone for as many years as your sentence dictates. The clone's mental age at the start depended on your crime, although physically it would always be an adult. Since Lindsay destroyed government property, her clone would have the mental age of at least 1, maybe 2. On Leslie's day of sentencing, the judge asked if she had any final thoughts before the sentence was passed. Leslie admitted her mistake and expressed a desire to change. The skeptical judge decided to give her some responsibility, as per Lord Peterson's policy. He declared he wouldn't jail her for a first offense, but since she showed no remorse for destroying government property, he decided to clone her. She was to raise the clone for 5 years, after which it would become the property of the state. Before the cloning process, 2 guards took a blood sample, a cheek swab, and a hair sample from Lindsay, instructing her to go home and take Monday off. They informed her the clone would arrive at her house around 10 o'clock. She patiently waited for her clone to arrive. Finally, at 10 o'clock, 3 police officers and 3 prison guards arrived to carry out the sentence. The clone, wearing a dark pink one-piece uniform with a zip on the back, entered. Lindsay noticed a bulge she had to type on. The guards told her she must name it. Lindsay named it Lindsay 2. The guards were not amused, but according to the Canadian government law, Prime Minister Peterson had passed. There was nothing they could do about it. They gave Lindsay some instructions and a special type of food that clones must eat for the first 2 weeks, after which they can eat regular human food. They also gave her a pack of clone diapers and a week's supply of everything, but she had to buy the rest herself. This upset Lindsay, but she knew better than to say anything, considering the state of Canadian prisons in the year 2034, which were bad due to dictator Trudeau, who was finally exiled to England after years of dictatorship and had gone mad and senile. After everyone left, it was just Lindsay and the clone, staring blankly at each other, unsure what to say or how to react. Lindsay thought to herself, "What have I gotten myself into?" Then, Lindsay smelled a foul odor in the air. She looked at her clone and said, "Oh my God, you didn't." The clone needed to be changed. She grabbed the diapers, struggling to remember the word, and changed the clone. Then she fed it dinner and went to bed, exhausted from her first day with it. What was she going to do? She woke up the next day, smashing her alarm clock against the wall, upset about the situation. She made breakfast for herself and her stupid clone, changed it, then brought it to her friend DeAndre's house. She paid the sitter $20 to watch it all day, then did her job as a manager at the local coffee shop. All she could think about was the stupid clone. She couldn't enjoy her lunch. All day, the only thing on her mind was the clone. She came home, changed the clone, made dinner, and ate dinner for herself. She wanted to meet him, so she put her clone to bed. As she was putting the clone to bed, the clone said, "Thank you, Lindsay." Lindsay didn't know what to say when something else thanked her. She had never had anything rely on her before. She was conflicted. She didn't know how to feel about this, but she kind of liked it in a way. Weeks went by, and she grew more attached to her clone. She taught her clone to talk slightly better. Lindsay, too, knew how to ask for food and when she needed to be changed. Then came National Suit Day, a holiday created by Prime Minister Peterson because he was known for loving suits. Everyone wore fancy suits. Lindsay thought it would be funny or at least cute if she wore the same suit as her clone on Suit Day. Meanwhile, Lindsay was promoted to regional manager at the coffee shop because she needed the extra money to take care of the clone. The clone gave her a sense of responsibility, which made her want to stop going out drinking. Was the clone a good thing for her? On National Suit Day, they watched Prime Minister Peterson give his speech. He spoke about responsibility and personal accountability. While listening, Lindsay's clone tapped her on the shoulder, indicating she needed to be changed. Lindsay took her clone to one of the modern Canadian changing rooms, designed for people to take care of their clones. These changing rooms were everywhere. She wept as she changed her clone, moved by Prime Minister Peterson's speech, which she thought was one of the best she had ever heard. In the changing room, she met a man named Ryan Thomas. He was a small, cavalier individual, well-dressed, buff, and drove a nice car. He thought Lindsay's clone was cute and believed Lindsay would make a good mother. He approached Lindsay and asked her how she got a clone, assuming it was not by choice, given the clone's childlike state. Ryan didn't see a woman who was out of control. To him, Lindsay seemed super responsible but also very overwhelmed. He dreamed of sweeping her off her feet, helping her out, moving in with her, and having lots of kids. He imagined a life where Lindsay wouldn't have to work. He approached her and said, "I noticed you have a doppelganger. What's her name?" Lindsay, slightly embarrassed, replied, "Lindsay too." Ryan and Lindsay shared a slight chuckle. He said, "I'd love to help out with her." Lindsay hesitated to say her name, embarrassed that she named her clone that way. But there was nothing she could do now. It was the law, according to Prime Minister Peterson. But Ryan surprised her by offering to pay for a caregiver for the night and invited her out to dinner. They went out for drinks, and during dinner, Ryan opened up about his past. He told her he used to be a mess but credited Prime Minister Peterson's policies for turning his life around. He had been sent to a rehabilitation responsibility and accountability camp, which taught him how to wear suits, look for a job, and push through hardships. He revealed he was once a really bad person, lost and aimless, but the rehabilitation camp taught him the value of goals and responsibilities. He even had a clone at one point, given to him when he left the camp to see how well he could take care of it. After dinner, Lindsay invited him home for coffee, picking up her clone from the clone daycare center. As she changed her clone at home, Ryan reminisced about his own experience. Then, Lindsay asked him a startling question. "Were you once a clone?" Ryan admitted, "Yes, I returned to my human form at the Clone Rehabilitation Center." Lindsay was startled. She didn't know what to say. Ryan added, "We're going to do it to you too. We hate you humans."